returning to your multidimensional self. July 27, 2014. We are in the process of shifting our reality. We say we, as all dimensions, realities and worlds are shifting into a higher frequency of expression. As it is for the least, it is for the greatest. Hence, as the third fourth dimension releases itself from the shackles of a reality based on illusion, and shifts into the fifth dimension, the light of cosmic truth, all the dimensions above the fifth also shift into their higher dimensional expression. In order to make this shift, there is a release, a letting go, of what has been your predominant expression of self. Then your baseline, lowest dimensional expression of self, begins its return to your higher expressions of self. In the case of our human expressions, the third fourth dimensions will gradually become less and less hospitable because you will be shifting into their fifth dimensional light body. You will find that, just as it once took effort to consciously experience your fifth dimensional light body, it will become increasingly difficult to consciously experience your third fourth dimensional physical body. You will find that your consciousness appears to be wandering off into what feels to your physical self as a trance-like state. However, this trance-like state is beginning to feel so natural that you will not want to leave it. It is then that you will have to confront your choice. Which reality do you want to be your primary world, and which reality will you choose to be your secondary reality? It is at this point that the shift will begin to occur. Before, you had to let go of your meditations and creative expressions so that you could get back the business of your real life. In this now you are pondering whether or not that which you have perceived as just your imagination, is actually your real life. In that case, you will need to let go of your lower frequency expression, so that you can remain in the unconditional light and love of the fifth dimension. Some may even ask, do I dare believe that the feel of my imagination is actually my real world? And, if I make that choice and switch my primary attachment to the feelings of my fifth dimensional imagination, does that mean that I have to die to the physical world? We will answer your questions with another question. When you go into your meditation and/or dreams to find yourself in the fifth dimensional world, are you able to wake up and/or end your meditation? Your physical reality does not disappear while you sleep or meditate, nor will it vanish when you switch your primary identity from being your 3D physical self to being your 5D light body self. In the same manner, our light workers are being faced with the decision of which reality is the real world. This question eventually evolves into, which of many dimensions of reality do I choose as my primary expression of self? When you chose to enter your present physical incarnation, you selected a physical form as your primary expression of self. While you are still draped in that earth vessel, you are inclined to believe that you only have the choices available in that physical reality. Then, even though you are increasingly experiencing your multidimensional consciousness, the remnants of your third dimensional thinking can make you believe that you can only make life choices based on your physical world. Fortunately, as you take more and more excursions into your fifth dimensional consciousness, which we see that many of you are doing, you are beginning to allow your third dimensional thinking to be replaced with your multidimensional thinking. Your multidimensional thinking allows you to perceive your third, fourth, and even your fifth dimensional realities from a higher perspective. From this expanded viewpoint, you are remembering that you no longer need to choose. From the perspective of your earth vessel, you only have either or choices. However, from the perspective of your fifth dimensional self, you can choose both or even all possible choices. You can make these selections because you have full knowledge of the myriad expressions of yourself that are simultaneously being experienced on myriad dimensions and realities. Your challenge is that your fifth dimensional light body self needs to convince your third dimensional ego self to let go of the third dimensional illusion of time and space. Your third dimensional expression is afraid to release these 3D illusions, because you consciously or unconsciously remember that letting go meant death in many of your third dimensional lives. Fortunately, by the time you ponder this concept of letting go in order to ascend, the frequency of your consciousness has expanded beyond the illusion of death because you can consciously experience the higher expressions of your multidimensional self. However, It is very difficult to break the 3D rule of one life per person. This rule further states that if you live a good life you go to heaven, but if you live a bad life, you go to hell. The problem with good versus bad is that the definition for good and bad are different according to different states of personal consciousness. The other problem is that states of consciousness is an unknown concept for vast numbers of Gaia's human inhabitants. Therefore, the responsibility of expanding personal consciousness to include multidimensional consciousness falls on the shoulders of the awakened light workers. We wish to thank you all for your great courage and endurance. We are coming to you today to tell you that it is the now for those of you who have united with your multidimensional self to unite with each other. We, the members of the galactic and celestial realms, are working with our earthbound expressions of self to remind them that it is the now to unite with Gaia and all her human or non-human inhabitants who are willing to release the illusions and limitations of their third-dimensional vessel. It is only your belief that limits you to your third-dimensional expression of self. Once you believe that you are multidimensional, you will begin to realize that you do not need to leave one reality in order to experience another reality. In fact, in your now, you all have the ability to simultaneously experience your third, fourth, and fifth dimensional realities, and beyond within the now of the One. Calibrating your attention to the now is your challenge and your gift. In order to make this alteration in your consciousness, you will likely need to make changes in your third-dimensional life. You will discover what changes you need to make by consciously experiencing your state of consciousness and your sense of self, as you go about your day. You will quickly discover that your sense of self expands into the higher dimensions when you are peaceful and centered. Therefore, observe what components of your life make you anxious, agitated, and pull you from your center. Also, closely observing your life by stepping out of time to observe how you feel right now. Remember to say to yourself, right now I am taking an honest assessment of my thoughts, emotions, and actions to determine how they affect my state of consciousness. Then, consciously choose to check in on your cell phone to observe what areas of your life already flow with your fifth dimensional consciousness and what components of your life are firmly stuck in physical illusions and limitations. At the end of each day or the beginning of the next day, you can observe the times in which you became so lost in the 3D you that couldn't even remember to check in with yourself. Make a note of the activities and duties that trapped you in third-dimensional consciousness. Note the areas of your life that are still firmly attached to the illusions and limitations of the 3D matrix. How can you change what you are not even aware of? The answer is you cannot. Therefore, as the first scouts to return to your multidimensional self, you will need to consciously observe your life from your own higher dimensional perspective. Fortunately, as you open an ongoing interaction with yourself, your inner guidance for ascension becomes activated. It is then that you will remember how to leave time. Free of the illusion of time, you can go into the now of the One to consciously perceive your alliance with the galactic and celestial members of your multidimensional self. We shall return to speak more about leaving time to living in the now. Blessings from the Arcturians. Channeled by Suzanne Lee. SuzanneLeePhD.blogspot.com